hook, and early life. He's been called the people's champion. He's been a wrestler, a movie star, an entrepreneur, a cultural icon. But behind the charm, behind the muscles, behind the billion-dollar smile, lies a story filled with struggle, heartbreak, and resilience that few truly know. What if I told you that one of the most successful men alive once had just $7 in his pocket? That before the bright lights and Hollywood fame, he was a young man sitting alone, broke, with nothing but a broken dream and a decision to make. Would he crumble, or would he rise? This is the story of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And trust me, once you start this journey, you won't want to leave until the very end. So if you're ready for a ride full of drama, laughter, heartbreak, and triumph, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what you're about to hear is a story of survival, transformation, and destiny. Let's rewind. May 2nd, 1972, Hayward, California. Dwayne Douglas Johnson entered the world. From the very beginning, wrestling was in his blood. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a trailblazer, one of the first black champions in WWE history. And his grandfather, Peter Maivia, was a revered wrestling chief in Samoa. But growing up in that kind of legacy, it wasn't as glamorous as it sounds. Because while his family carried wrestling pride, they also carried wrestling struggles. Money was tight, very tight. Dwayne's childhood was filled with moving from place to place, chasing opportunity, chasing stability. By the time he was a teenager, Dwayne had lived in multiple states, even in New Zealand for a while. And everywhere he went, he carried the weight of being Rocky Johnson's son. Sometimes it opened doors, but most of the time, it created pressure he couldn't escape. And pressure builds.
At just 14 years old, Dwayne saw his family evicted from their apartment. He watched his mother cry in the parking lot as their life was packed into trash bags. Imagine being a kid, standing there, powerless, watching your whole world collapse. That moment carved something into him, a fire, a refusal to ever feel powerless again. But young Dwayne wasn't an angel, far from it. He got into fights. He was arrested multiple times for theft and fraud before he was even 17. Yes, hidden gem number one. The Rock once had a rap sheet as a teenager. But something saved him. Football. At Freedom High School in Pennsylvania, Dwayne found his outlet. On the football field, his size, his speed, his aggression, suddenly all that chaos had a purpose. He wasn't just big, he was a natural athlete. And for the first time in his life, he started to see a way out. That way out led him to the University of Miami, a scholarship, a chance, a dream. Dwayne Johnson wasn't just on the team. He was on a powerhouse squad that would go down in history. He played alongside future NFL legends like Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp. The future looked bright. But life has a way of striking when you least expect it. Dwayne's football career didn't go as planned. Injuries piled up. His starting position slipped away. By the time the NFL came knocking, his dream was already fading. And in 1995, when he joined the Canadian Football League, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, he still had a shot. But fate was cruel again. After just one season with the Calgary Stampeders, he was cut. No contract, no money, no future in football. And that's when he came home, back to Florida, with only $7 in his pocket. The dream was gone. But sitting there, with nothing left Dwayne Johnson was about to make a decision that would change not just his life, but the world. Because if he couldn't be the next football star, maybe he could be something bigger. Maybe he could be The Rock. Rocky Maivia and the birth of The Rock. The year was 1996. Dwayne Johnson had nothing left to lose. No football career, no money, no plan. But he had a name, a wrestling legacy, and parents who believed their son had something special. His father, Rocky Johnson, and his mother, Ata, both pushed him toward the family business. And at first, Dwayne resisted. He knew wrestling wasn't easy. The travel, the toll, the sacrifices. He had seen it all growing up. But sitting there with just $7 in his pocket, he realized wrestling wasn't just an option, it was the only option. So he began training. Day after day in sweat-soaked gyms, in rings that smelled of leather and blood. Every bump hurt. Every slam reminded him this was no game. But Dwayne had something inside him, a determination that burned hotter than pain. And soon, WWE took notice. When he debuted, Vince McMahon had a vision, the perfect babyface hero. Smiling, bright-eyed, full of positivity. He was introduced as Rocky Maivia, a tribute to his father, Rocky Johnson, and his grandfather, Peter Maivia. It was meant to honor his family's legacy, but instead, it almost killed his career. Fans didn't buy it. They saw him as fake, forced. They chanted, "Die, Rocky, die!" They booed him out of arenas. Imagine stepping into the ring, giving everything you have, and hearing thousands of people begging for your failure. Most would have quit. Most would have walked away. But not Dwayne. He listened. He studied. And he decided to flip the script. If the fans hated Rocky Maivia, he'd give them someone else to hate. And so, slowly, Rocky Maivia died. And in his place, The Rock was born. No more smiling hero, no more forced legacy. This Rock was brash, arrogant, sharp-tongued. He talked about himself in the third person. He cut promos that left fans laughing, booing, and gasping all at once. And the fans who once wanted him gone? They couldn't get enough. The Rock became electricity personified. Every time he grabbed a microphone, the crowd erupted. Finally, The Rock has come back to, and fans would scream the city's name before he even said it. Catchphrases became cultural phenomena. Know your role and shut your mouth. Lay the smack down. If you smell what The Rock is cooking. Hidden gem number 2. The word SmackDown was so popular, WWE turned it into an entire TV show. And in the ring, he wasn't just charisma, he was talent. Smooth, powerful, explosive. The people's elbow, the rock bottom, moves that combined theatrics with impact. Soon, The Rock wasn't just a wrestler. He was a phenomena. His feuds with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, and Mankind weren't just matches. They were stories, moments burned into wrestling history. Remember the night he faced Mankind in an I Quit match? The brutal chair shots, the unforgettable intensity. Fans still talk about it today. Remember WrestleMania 17? The Rock versus Stone Cold? Two icons at the peak of their powers. One of the greatest matches of all time. By the late 1990s, The Rock had gone from being booed out of arenas to being one of the most beloved, electrifying superstars in WWE history. But here's where things get interesting. Because while most wrestlers would have been content with that level of fame, The Rock had bigger plans. And soon, Hollywood came knocking. Hollywood beginnings and stardom. By the year 2000, The Rock wasn't just a wrestling superstar. He was a household name. Every arena he entered shook with chants. Every promo went viral before viral was even a thing. But deep down, Dwayne Johnson knew something. Wrestling was powerful, but it had limits. His body couldn't take bumps forever. His career inside the ring would always have an expiration date. So he asked himself, what's next? The answer came from a place he never expected: Hollywood. In 2001, Dwayne made his big-screen debut in The Mummy Returns. It wasn't a massive role. He played the Scorpion King, part man, part monster. But the charisma was undeniable. Even with minimal screen time, people remembered him. Hollywood noticed. Universal Pictures offered him a spin-off, The Scorpion King. And here's hidden gem number 3. Dwayne Johnson earned $5.5 million for that movie, the highest salary ever paid to a first-time leading actor at the time. Suddenly, the world outside WWE knew his name. But it wasn't easy. His first films got mixed reviews. Some critics laughed at the idea of a wrestler trying to be an actor. Many thought he'd fade away like others before him. But The Rock wasn't just any wrestler. He was relentless. He balanced both worlds, one week headlining WWE pay-per-views, the next filming movies on Hollywood sets. And slowly, film by film, he got better. Walking Tall, The Rundown, Gridiron Gang. Movies that showed his versatility, his heart, his humor. But while Hollywood grew, WWE began to fade from his schedule. By 2003, fans realized The Rock wasn't just visiting movies. He was moving to Hollywood permanently. It caused tension. Some fans felt betrayed. They thought he had abandoned wrestling. But Dwayne never forgot his roots. Even as he took on bigger roles, he returned to WWE in bursts, to feud with John Cena, to host WrestleMania, to remind the world that the Great One never really left. Meanwhile, his Hollywood career kept climbing. By 2011, he landed the role that would change everything: Luke Hobbs in the Fast and Furious franchise. With his arrival, the series exploded into a global juggernaut. Fans loved the intensity he brought, the muscles, the humor, the larger-than-life presence. And here's the crazy part. By the mid-2010s, Dwayne Johnson had become the highest-paid actor in Hollywood. Yes, the man who once had only $7 in his pocket was now commanding over $20 million per film. Hidden gem number 4, in 2016, he was named Time Magazine's most influential person in the world. But even with fame, success, and wealth, The Rock never stopped grinding. He woke up at 4 a.m. to train. He studied scripts. He built his own production company, $7 Productions, named after the exact amount of money he had when he hit rock bottom. That name wasn't just a reminder. It was a promise that no matter how high he climbed, he would never forget where he came from. And while his career soared, fans began to see something else. This wasn't just about movies or wrestling anymore. This was about empire building. Because Dwayne Johnson wasn't just becoming a star. He was becoming a brand. Empire and legacy. By the late 2010s, Dwayne Johnson was no longer just The Rock. He was a global brand, a man whose name alone could sell out theaters, arenas, and stadiums. But here's the twist. While movies made him famous, business made him unstoppable. Let's start with fitness. The world knew The Rock for his insane workouts, his iron discipline, his relentless grind. So he turned it into opportunity. He partnered with Under Armour to launch Project Rock, a fitness line of shoes, gear, and headphones. It became one of the company's most successful collaborations ever. Then came tequila. Yes, tequila. In 2020, Dwayne introduced Terramana tequila. It wasn't just another celebrity product. It was authentic, crafted with care, and priced for everyone, not just the elite. Fans loved it. By 2023, Terramana was selling over 1 million cases a year, making it one of the fastest-growing tequila brands in history. Hidden gem number 5. Dwayne Johnson didn't just lend his name to Terramana. He personally went to Mexico, worked with distillers, and tasted every batch until it was perfect. But he wasn't done. He turned his attention to sports entertainment. In 2020, he shocked the world by buying the XFL, a professional football league, for $15 million, a league that had failed twice before. But Dwayne believed in second chances, just like he once had to start over with $7. He believed the XFL deserved a new life. And then, there's Hollywood. He starred in blockbuster after blockbuster, from Jumanji to Moana, from Black Adam to Red Notice. His range kept surprising people. One moment, he was making kids laugh as the voice of Maui. The next, he was a superhero commanding the DC universe. And yet, through all the fame, he stayed grounded. He often shared stories of his mother, his daughters, his struggles. He used social media not to show off, but to inspire. Millions tuned in daily to watch his Iron Paradise gym sessions or hear his words of motivation. And maybe that's why he's loved. Because behind the muscles and the millions, there's authenticity. There's a man who remembers sleeping on a mattress in a rundown apartment. There's a man who remembers rejection, failure, and fear. But he never let those moments define him.
Instead, he built an empire. $7 Productions, creating movies. Terramana, breaking records. Project Rock, inspiring millions. The XFL, giving athletes second chances. And above it all, Dwayne Johnson becoming a symbol of resilience. Now here's the real suspense. What's next? Some whisper about politics. Some say he could run for president one day. Others believe he'll keep building businesses, inspiring and entertaining. But one thing is certain. From $7 in his pocket to 7 billion hearts around the world, Dwayne Johnson has proven one thing again and again. It doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you fight. And it matters how you rise. So the next time you feel stuck, the next time you feel like the world is against you, remember The Rock. Remember the man who turned boos into cheers. Remember the man who turned failure into empire. And remember the man who proved that greatness isn't given, it's earned. And if you enjoyed this journey into the life of Dwayne Johnson, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe. Because just like The Rock, we're only getting started.